Good morning, everybody. Mr. West here. I've got the maiden going here for the triangle fuse. A little experimental on the triangle fuse and how it goes together and space available, things like that. So real quick, Armin style wing. I made this one a bit more a thinner profile, so less percent in thickness. Should be a speedier, faster wing. Should take less energy. So therefore I wanted to make this little 2212 from Hobby People. I wanted to make it work. Hopefully that it will work here for this. So I've got that little 2212 on there and a 7.5 prop. And for power I'm using one of my 3600s, my 3-cell 3600 Turnigy. It has a 30 to 40C discharge on it. Just basic, says aileron and elevator function. I do have in it for nose weight the Bloggy camera, 128 grams of ballast weight there in the nose to just fly as a standard. Well, I set all my planes up for that ballast weight. I think I've mentioned that before. So triangle fuse. Some of the other guys have done it, but they didn't do the fold all the way through. And so that was my goal. Is I found out after the fact that they had already done a triangle, and oh, okay, so it's not so original. I'm sure somebody had messed with it, but I've never seen anything posted. There's a couple people out there who have played around with the triangle. In fact, Ed over at Experimental Airlines said that he had, but it didn't suit his purposes, and I totally get that. I see that. In this case, if you wanted to make a speedier aircraft, smaller cord would be nice too. I made this with the giant cord on it, the biggest you can, which is with the foam board, that is. The limitation that you have using the 20-inch direction as your cord limitation. So you end up with like a 9 3/4-inch cord there at the center, plus whatever aileron surface you have. So in addition to that 9 3/4, there would be aileron strip. But it's probably a little large for cord wise. You can probably stand to lose 2 inches easy. And I increased the tail surfaces. It was definitely the horizontal tail surface. You can see the add area. The scraps that I had when I did the sample on the tail section, it just was a little scale wise, a little too scant, if you will. Anyway, alright, so I'll fire her up. I've estimated the CG based upon two things, using the wing calculator online as a reference, and I set that up for 25%, the expert, and that still put it in the forward third, further forward than again I would have done in the first place. So I took the 9 3/4 and divided it by 3, which was 3 3/8 exactly. So then I would typically move it forward of that by that 3/8, a small amount. So CG was marked around 3 inches, give or take. And then, so that's where I'm starting now, slightly, I think, nose heavy. I did not do, actually I did do a wind toss test, but the wind was so swirly, squirrely, and it was turbulent and everything. I wasn't really getting good examples or tests, I should say. So this one's a little on the guess side right now. Probably on the risky side of it. Let me put the hat cam down, I'll get her fired up. Got 15 minutes on the clock. Let's get the hat cam on. Hopefully, I've got the bloggy on the hat cam right now, or as the hat cam. Hopefully I'm looking, hopefully I got the angle on the camera correct. Got 15 minutes on the clock. Pretty cool and cold this Friday morning. Full throttle. Not the right motor. But she does fly. She seems to be slightly tail heavy. Let's get the pitch down a little bit. I think with the bigger motor on there, she'll do well. No aileron trim necessary. Her nose is wanting to pop up. Oh yeah. She's definitely nose or tail heavy. Super sensitive on pitches. Oh, that was crazy. She stalled. Get some altitude here. Alright, gotta move that battery back. See if I can land it. Okay.
Let's see. This hatch and battery arrangement is not so perfect. Not the best. Alright, so let's see how that... Oh yeah. Hat cam back on.
This should go much better. Perfect landing? what. Okay, so now I need a little up trim. Go back to about 0. I'm about to get a different hat for the hat cam. It's a little loose, keeps sliding down on my forehead. So again, this fuse is a very experimental trial and error. Battery should be all the way forward. Uh-oh. Okay. Looks like I'm down to 2 rubber bands. Yeah, the downside of running the rubber bands around the around running the rubber bands around the bottom of the plane is, of course, when you land, the rubber bands may want to scrape off. So please stand by while we're experiencing technical difficulties. Yeah, definitely not the right motor. And I don't think this little motor can handle a bigger... I thought that it could handle a bigger prop. Whoa, what's going on here? Oops. Up, up. Okay, for some reason my trim, I may have skipped a cog on a servo, my elevator servo. Because now I got all up trim and it's at 0 on the plane. Super sensitive. Getting there. Seems to track real nice. Hope I'm getting this on the cam. I settled the elevator into the dual rate, reduced rate. Let's go up.
There's just so much energy there in the aileron throws. Yeah. Alright, I'll have to adjust that arm, elevator arm, detune the ailerons, and this is the radio that has the broken potentiometer on adjusting the dual rate on aileron. So if I switch to dual rate on aileron, I'll crash. I won't have any aileron control. Got to remember that. So now it feels better. I know, into the sun, right? I'll bring it around and land it here. Okay. So a successful maiden of the, I don't know what to call this. Let's figure that out too, right? Triangle fuse. The TF1. The FB TF1. Whatever, right? So I got the wingtip skids. I'm in love with those things. I don't know what they do for you as far as flight characteristics. They're straight down, they're not on an angle, so they act like tip rudders, like on a wing delta or whatever. It does track nicely, in my opinion. There's a lot of aileron there, and I'll make note of the CG. I think I'm fairly close. Right now, actually, I think it's probably right on, because the elevator is neutral right now on the bird, and she was holding altitude at full throttle though. When I pull the throttle off, she balloons up some. So the thrust angle is probably still not down enough, and you know, it's huge above the wing. I mean, that distance above the wing with that on that pylon there, or the motor block, is pretty high. I mean, if you're going to build one of these, make sure that you keep it down as low, as absolutely low as possible, to improve performance. Because otherwise you got to crank that angle up on the motor so high that your thrust is now pushing up into the sky and not forward. Does it work? Yeah, but it becomes more inefficient. So ideally, again, the motor on the thrust line, or the on the roll axis line, is most ideal. This probably would do really nicely as a nose-mounted bird here. Tractor versus pusher. Motor in the front. But then, you know, camera, batteries, stuff all up in the front. You're going to be extremely nose heavy. You're going to need weight in the tail. Different scenario altogether. Alright, so enough about that. Successful maiden of the foam board triangle fuse. Foam board triangle fuse 1. Yeah, something like that.
All right, west out.